Hi, I'm Colin Shantz, CEO of CopperTree Solutions, and today we're going to be talking about IT strategy. IT is increasingly important to almost every organization, and with that, it's important to have a good IT strategy. And some of the things that we see when an organization doesn't have a good strategy is, they tend to get stuck in what we like to call the reactive spiral of death. And really, what that means is, if you don't have a plan, things are going to go wrong. You have a problem, you get somebody in to solve the problem. If you don't do something proactive to prevent that issue from coming back, it's going to come back. And you end up in a situation where the more issues you have, the more frustrated you get, and the more frustrated you get, it feels like there's no way out of that. And really, at the end of the day, if you have a strategy, you can plan for these things. You can put proactive measures in place. You can put maintenance in place that will prevent these issues from happening. But it all starts with a strategy. Without a strategy, one of the things that tends to happen is your systems end up getting outdated, and it doesn't take long. Suddenly, you think your systems are brand new, and suddenly a couple of years go by, and you realize that you're running your entire company on a 10-year-old computer. And it's pretty critical to be looking at that stuff on a regular basis and making sure that you have the proper technology in place and you're not relying on a old outdated piece of hardware to run your company. The same is especially true around cybersecurity. Cybersecurity changes rapidly. There's a lot of things that are happening in the industry. There's a lot of things we're doing today that even a year or two ago weren't even on our radar. There's new threats. There's new technology available. The technology that is available keeps getting more cost effective. It's a changing world, and it's important to stay on top of what's available. If there's no one looking at the technology in your organization and looking at what's available in the marketplace today, you're probably leaving some things on the table. You're leaving some opportunities out there. And when I think about how much technology has changed in the last number of years, and the things that are out there, the things that are available now that weren't even a few years ago, you're definitely missing a lot of opportunities if nobody is paying attention to that and nobody's finding ways to use those tools in your organization. No matter your starting point, CopperTree will figure out where you are and develop a strategy to get to where you're trying to go with your organization's IT. Sometimes we'll come in and we'll talk to businesses and they'll say, well, we feel like we're in a pretty good place, or we feel like we're quite a ways behind as an organization. And essentially, it doesn't really matter where you are. Wherever you are, we're coming in, we're looking at the infrastructure you have, we're looking at your business, we're looking at your business needs, and we're putting a plan in place that'll get you from wherever you are to wherever you need to go. One of the first things we do when we bring on a new client is what we call our best practices alignment, or technology alignment. And really, what it's designed to do is give you a score on the health of your IT infrastructure. So we're looking at, what is the state of your hardware? What's the state of your software? How does your system align with our best practices that we've developed? We have best practices that have been developed for every piece of technology that our clients use. What's the best way to set up a firewall? What's the best way to deploy printers in your environment? And it's designed to give you an objective score that you can look at to understand the health of your system. So when we first come in, we have clients that we've given a pretty high score during the onboarding phase, tends to be, in the 70s. And then we also have clients that might be, 26%, like a recent client that we brought on. And it's really about giving the executive team visibility into what's going on in their infrastructure. So as we sit down and we go over that health score, we update it on a regular basis. We sit down every quarter and we look at that number. And it's one of the first things that the executive team is looking at and saying, okay, what's my score this month? And maybe it's 99% and things are pretty good, or maybe it's 85% and there's a few recommendations that we have to move you forward. But it's really designed to give you that visibility into where things are, and you can look at it and at a glance know whether IT is something that needs your attention or whether things are pretty good. One of our goals in working with our clients in developing their IT strategy is really looking at the organization goals that are in place. So, what are you trying to achieve as an organization? Where are you trying to go? Are you planning to grow? Are you planning to try and streamline your operations to improve efficiencies? Is there new things that you're doing? And our IT strategy is really designed to take that into consideration. It starts with understanding the business goals and where you're trying to go. And then we'll make sure that the proper IT infrastructure is there to support that. So it'll be looking at software, we'll be looking at hardware, looking at connectivity and how we tie it all together. For a lot of small organizations, it's critical to think about where you're going in the future in relation to your IT strategy. There's things you can do today that will make your future choices a lot easier. If you put the proper technology in place from the very beginning, it makes it a lot easier as your organization grows and scales. We've talked to quite a number of organizations that are kind of in that startup phase. Maybe they don't have a lot of people or they're still pretty small, but they're looking several years down the road and saying, if we double in size or triple in size or grow very rapidly, what are the challenges that we're going to be having down that path? And so one of our goals in working with them is helping them to see some things that maybe they can't quite see yet from their perspective. And we're giving them some information on what to look for and what to plan for and some of the things they can do today to make sure that their lives will be easier as they scale their organization. For a large organization, looking at their IT strategy, one of the things they need to think about is security and governance and developing processes that will ensure that their IT systems are up and running all the time and properly secured. One of the challenges that I see with a large organization that might have maybe they have a small internal IT department and they've got some people there. It's very difficult for a small team to develop the kinds of processes and procedures and stick to them in a way that are really effective. I talk to a lot of small IT departments, maybe it's an IT manager, and they spend their days responding to problems from users. Maybe it's somebody calling with a printer problem or an ERP problem, or maybe it's a business unit that needs a new application set up. So they tend to work in a fairly reactive way, meaning that they're constantly dealing with things that are coming to them. And what tends to happen is they just never quite get to doing the maintenance that should be happening in the background as well. If somebody has to choose between solving a user's problem or installing an update on a server, they're probably going to help the user. And while they might think they're going to get to that proactive maintenance tomorrow, somehow tomorrow never quite gets there. And so one of the ways we can help in a larger organization is coming in and working alongside that internal IT department. We take on the proactive maintenance aspect of IT, and we'll do the maintenance. We come in, we're not impacted by the users. They're not calling us. They're not asking us to do things for them. So we're somewhat removed from that day-to-day noise, and it allows us to focus on the proactive side of IT management. Thanks for joining us today as we talk about IT strategy. To learn more about our organization, you can visit us on our website at coppertreesolutions.ca.